Welcome to Wild and Exposed, your number one adventure, nature, and outdoor photography podcast. Wild and Exposed is hosted by Mike Mauro, Ron Hayes, Jason Loftus, and Mark Raycroft. Thanks for tuning in.
Today on Wild and Exposed, we're doing a little bit different show. We teamed up with Precision Camera down in Austin, Texas, and a good buddy of mine, Mike Luxenberg, and they're going to start sponsoring our show. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk to someone that works at a camera shop and ask a lot of the questions that we get asked all the time that I might not have the right answer for. But when you can talk to somebody that actually works at a camera shop and is familiar with all kinds of different cameras, all kinds of different levels, that's a good thing to do. So with that, I want to introduce Mike Luxenberg. And I don't know your official title, Mike, down there at the Precision Camera Shop. What do you do down there? Just give us like a little snapshot into you and what you guys do and actually what Precision Camera is.
First of all, thanks for having me on the show, Michael. It's a pleasure. I am the sales manager here at Precision Camera. We have 2 locations here in Austin, Texas. Our main store is the largest store in Texas, largest camera store in Texas. It's 20,000 square feet. That consists of a 10,000 square foot showroom. We have a classroom where we offer all kinds of different classes and educational events, full service lab, rental department, service department. And, this is our main store, so all of our offices are here, too. This is the store that I work out of. We also have a relatively new store down in South Austin, which we are about ready to expand into a new location. That new location will be 5,000 square feet, and our grand opening will be sometime early 2021. More on that coming, so.
That sounds like a lot of stuff going on. And just so you all know, Mike and I have been working together. I don't even know, Mike. It's probably been 15 years, right? 10 years at least.
No, I'd say it's since 2004.
Really? So 16 years.
Yeah, I think so. I think the 1DS Mark II was the start of our working together.
Mike used to be based here in Colorado, and I found it was always good to have somebody at a camera shop, a local camera shop that you could work with, because if I had questions, I knew I could always call you up and you were always up to speed on the stuff. And then you were also, as far as customer service, it was very, very helpful. In fact, before you left to go to Austin, I remember back in those days, I was scared to clean my own sensor. And You would be like, oh, I'll just stop by and clean your sensors for you. And you would come by the office here. Yep. Clean my sensors on a regular basis. Well, not regular. Well, a couple, 2 or 3 times a year you would come by, yep. I would think. And then actually he showed me how to do it. I got all the proper things, and now I'm very comfortable doing it on a regular basis with my own cameras. But I think having that relationship with someone in a shop is really good. Then when you moved to Texas, we just kept it going. I mean, we have the distance, which we don't get to see each other as much, but I've been into the shop down there in Austin a few times, actually, when I'm down there on jobs. Yep. But we still get the same thing now with the internet. I mean, it's just so easy to pick up a phone, and if I need a camera, you'll get me lined out, or if I need some advice or whatever. Or a lot of times too, I know in the past you've been able to, a used piece of gear, a super nice used piece of gear will come into your shop, and you'll call me up and you say, hey, we just got a, whatever, I don't know, 404 DO lens that just came in. Are you interested? And that's awesome, because while most of the time I'm like, yeah, I don't need that right now, every now and then I'll just jump on something because it's just a really good deal in your used department too, right? So maybe we can talk a little bit about, before we get into it, we had 3 or 4 things we want to talk about today. But before we get into that, so with you guys having everything that you offer down there, used camera, rental camera, the processing. So you guys are doing big prints, I'm assuming. I have never used that service with your shop. So maybe give us a
full service digital imaging department. We'll do large prints, print on canvas, whatever you want.
In addition to that, if somebody wants to sell some of their gear, I mean, the thing is right now, this stuff changes so much. I know that every year I'm on new cameras, right? And it's not because I am a gear nut. I love the gear. But ultimately, you just want the right camera for the right job. And if there's a new camera out that is a bigger megapixel or better focus or faster or whatever, I do this for a living, so I always want the best of the best. I oftentimes will call you up, but then you guys offer the service or offer the opportunity that I can send you a list of gear and you can say, yeah, we'll trade that in, or you guys will buy it for a used department too, because you got a pretty strong offering there as well, right?
Yeah. And coupled with that is the manufacturers know that technology is moving at such a fast pace that there are people that want to have the cutting edge cameras. So a big thing now is camera companies are offering trade bonuses, to kind of help you out. So as an example, we're running one this weekend with Canon, where if you trade in any used camera, you'll get an extra $200 trade credit towards the value of that camera that you could apply towards a new camera. So that's becoming more and more commonplace for manufacturers to do that in order to help people upgrade at a more economical cost. So,
right. And then you still have a healthy market for the used stuff because you've got a lot of students, you've got a lot of just all kinds of people that are, I know that there's a big resurgence of film cameras now too, right?
Over the past year, our used department's probably doubled. And you're right, a lot of it is due to film, the interest in film cameras. Like we cannot keep medium format film cameras in stock, used ones. They come in, they go right back out because there's a lot of interest around them now. So a used Hasselblad is really cool again, So
how many used Hasselblads or the old Pentax 645 or the Mamiya or any of those things are sitting in somebody's closet just tucked away, and you just they're just not there. So do you guys sell the film and do the processing for that too in-house?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
That would be kind of fun to start playing with. And then I guess in today's world you would want to get the film, have it processed, but you guys probably scan that stuff as well, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Some people don't even print. They'll just bring a roll of film in and just have them scanned. At that point, it's digital media.
Right. I can remember the days when that's all we did is when this first came out, you just scanned everything, and it was super expensive. Nowadays, it's probably not as bad. Although, are they still producing the similar lines of film that they used to produce, or is it limited to the type of film that you can get?
It's pretty limited now. If you remember back in the day, there was a lot of really cool films out. Agfa Ultra is one that comes to mind for me. It was certainly one of my favorites, and it's gone now. So there's limited choices now, but there's still some really, really good stuff out. Some of the new Kodak is some of the best film they've ever put out. Just really, really tight grain, high resolution film, just in time for digital to take the world over, So,
so I bet you black and white's pretty big with that too, right?
Oh yeah. Black and whites. They're still, Ilford still has all their options available, so that's never changed. I think the only one they did away with was their infrared film, but there's that SFX kind of fake infrared film. That's still pretty cool, and that's still available.
All right, well, let's get into a little bit of what you and I had talked previous to this conversation, and we're like, what are the 3 or 4 things that we could talk about that would really help our audience out? And I know that we get questions all the time on the podcast, and somebody will DM us on Instagram, or somebody will see us in the field, and I get this question all the time. When somebody knows you're a photographer, they're just always asking, hey, I want to get a camera for Christmas, or I want to get a camera to do this. What should I get? And I'm like the worst person to ask because I usually just use the cameras that I'm using, and I'm not familiar with that whole line of cameras that's out there.
Sure.
So
your job is to know your camera inside and out so that you can change functions without looking at the camera.
Right.
But you don't shoot the 50 different cameras that are available.
Right. And so, I don't have a clue, and I think when you and I talked earlier, there was a couple of parameters that you're going to ask somebody that's going to at least get you in the ballpark to at least know what you need to show them, right? And what are those 2 things? So
right. So There's two real important questions you want to think about when you're looking for a camera. And the first one is, how are you going to use this camera? What are the main things you're going to use it for? And the second one is, what budget do you want to try and stay in? Because literally there's probably 60 different cameras out, and they're going to range anywhere from 500 to 5,000. You kind of want to have an idea of how much you want to spend and how you're going to use the camera. That'll help narrow down your search a little bit. One of the things that we offer that we found to be very, very helpful for people is you can go to our website, and as you're shopping around for cameras, if you want some help and you need some advice and you have questions, when you first get to our website, the home page displays our virtual consultations. There's a box that you can click that says enter here, and you will immediately be connected with one of our salespeople in our main store that can answer any of your questions. They can walk over and grab whatever camera you have questions about. They can hold it up to the camera, and you guys can have a conversation about it. It's proven to be a very, very useful tool for us and for our customers.
So the good thing about that is well, especially right now during COVID times, right? You don't have to leave the house. You can just say, hey, I'm really interested. But then that serves you guys moving outside of that Austin area to, now the whole country can call you up and use that service, right? Because I know, me being in Denver currently, and then over the summer I was in Alaska, I ordered a couple of cameras from you and you just got them to me. So it's not like you guys have that limitation of being in Austin. You can service anybody from anywhere. And I think having that ability to be able to talk to somebody, I didn't know you had that particular service until we talked about it a week ago. So if I'd have had that, when I started out, it would have been super awesome. But back when I started out, obviously the internet wasn't really there.
Right.
That's kind of funny to say.
Yeah, a lot's changed. And certainly this is something that was kind of a response to the situation that we're in with COVID. It is something that the success of it has proven that we're going to keep it. Customers like it, and it provides them with a lot of options to shopping. So
your staff that's out there, they're versed in everything from, do you have someone that specializes just in pro cameras? So if a pro's calling and said, look, I need to be able to compare a 24 to 70 2.8 Tamron to a 24 to 70 2.8 Canon, you're going to have that person that specializes in that, and then you have somebody that's more or does everybody do everything?
Everybody does everything. We certainly have veterans that have been here for a long time, that know the ins and outs and the intricacies of every line. And we deal with a lot of lines here. We carry Canon, Sony, Panasonic, Fuji, Olympus, Blackmagic, GoPro,
Nikon.
For lighting, we do Profoto, Nanlite, and Aperture. There's a lot of lines. There's a lot to learn, especially for a new person. But yeah, everybody does everything.
I guess that's the other thing to talk about too, is you don't necessarily, we say camera shop and immediately you think about a camera, but there's so much more. I know when I've been in that shop down there, just your showroom with the accessories is huge, right? So if you need a reflector, if you need lights, if you need the latest LED technology, if you need tripods. I deal with tripod questions all the time. And tripods, I can never get anybody to spend the money that they really need to spend on a tripod. But over the course of using the podcast and now, cameras got to be so good with their image stabilization that if you're shooting stills, tripods you don't really need these days, right? But the minute you say, hey, I think I want to shoot some video, that totally changes the game. Now everybody's back to using tripods because especially with what we do, with wildlife stuff, you cannot be shooting a long telephoto lens without a decent tripod. And I think you guys have some pretty cost-effective solutions. Now, if I'm going to be using a 200 to 400 Canon lens, f4 lens, and shooting video, my tripod is probably going to cost as much as the lens that I would as that lens, which I don't know. That lens is probably what, $10,000 nowadays. I don't even know what it costs.
Your tripod should cost that much for a lens like that. Yeah.
Yeah, just because you're buying that stability, right? It's heavy. It's not that fun to carry around in the woods. But you're getting that stability. So if you're looking at super high end, good quality video, that's the way to go. But that being said, if you're just shooting video for fun or creating stuff on YouTube, you don't need these high powered solutions. And what you guys have, what are some of the lines that you have in tripods? There's Benro. I think you guys have Benro, right?
We do Manfrotto. We do Benro. Saray is another really big one. We're big in Saray.
And then both of those work for both stills and video, right? And you can have a good solution. So anybody you call in that virtual showroom, they could show you the difference between a fluid head and just a fluid video head, and then just I don't even know what you call the other types of heads, some sort of friction.
Yeah, the bottom line is a tripod's a tripod. It's the head that is dedicated to how you're going to use it.
Right.
So if you're going to shoot video, you're going to want a good video fluid head. If you're shooting predominantly stills, you'll either want a ball head for speed, or a three-way for a little bit more precise, or even a geared head for really, really precise shooting and movement. So once again, depends on how you're going to use the tool as to which one you're going to purchase. But a tripod's a tripod. It's just, you're buying the stability there, like you said. So, and you could still get very, very stable with relatively lightweight if you go from aluminum to carbon fiber. So carbon fiber is going to cost you a little more, but it's certainly going to shave a lot of pounds off. And if you're somebody that hikes around the wilderness, you'll probably want to pay for the carbon fiber.
Yeah, well, the weight, man, it's all the weight.
Yeah.
Your clientele these days, you guys, could you put a percentage on like the number of beginners as opposed to the number of pros, or do you just get everybody? I know that, but
yeah, we run the full spectrum to first time camera buyers all the way up to professionals such as yourself that have been doing this for a very, very long time. We work with a lot of universities and high schools, and it runs the gamut. I would say professionals are a large part of our business, but amateurs and prosumers are the largest part of our business. That's where the bulk of our business is from. Enthusiasts and hobbyists that really want to create good imagery. That's where the most of our business comes from.
And I just want to bring that up because I don't want anybody to feel like you can't call. I mean, if you know absolutely nothing, it's worth the call, right? Because you guys are going to spend the time, and it's not a call, it's a virtual. Well, if you can get online, you just want to get on a virtual call with you guys, right?
That's what they're for, Michael. They're to help people that don't know the answer. They're to help them get the answer that they're looking for. And it might even be sometimes they bought a camera yesterday and they're confused about maybe how the menu works or something. Well, if you hop in the virtual consultation, you can get your question answered. So they're there not only to help you buy something, but also to help answer your questions.
You talked about earlier having that classroom. Do you guys do things where you do online classes over the web? Because now with COVID, it's hard to get into a place, right? And if I'm calling from Colorado and I know you guys are doing something on, let's say, mirrorless cameras or using Photoshop or any of those things, do you offer classes like that people could sign up for and then take over or online? And is that stuff free, or is that stuff, do you charge for these classes? How does that work?
Well, it's a little bit of both. We have free classes and events, and we have paid classes and events. All of that information is on our website, which can be found at precision-camera.com. Or you can access it through precisioncameraatx.com. But our full class schedule is there. We also do things like virtual happy hours, where it's in a similar Remo room where you can just come and hang out with other enthusiasts and talk about whatever you want. Talk about your experiences or ask questions, or it's just a social gathering, really, is all it is. And we do those once a week. And you can find that on our website, too.
That's pretty cool. I've heard a lot of that here lately with this, well, since early summer. You get just a bunch of like-minded people on a Zoom call, and it's kind of cool, the information. I mean, I've done a few of them where I just jump on and listen. I don't even speak up, but just the people that are talking, you can pick things up. And I'll tell you what, you said earlier, I've been doing this for a long time, but I still learn something every day. There's not a day that goes by that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
And a lot of times we'll invite reps. So there'll be reps from the different camera vendors there. There's always something to be learned at one of those events. Yeah.
Recently, the big buzz, well, I guess latter part of the summer till now has been Canon's mirrorless offerings. I guess Sony and Canon, right? So we just did a podcast last night or the night before with a guy who used the new Sony low light video camera.
A7S3.
It's only like a 12 megapixel camera, right? But it's more of
that's their low light powerhouse. It's predominantly video heavy, but that and the Canon EOS R5, without a doubt, undisputed, are the two hottest products in the camera industry right now. Hard to get, hard to keep. So,
well, and that's what I wanted to tell people. I think I was able to. Here's a good example of having this relationship with you that helped me out, and I think it's fun to be working with you guys now in a sponsorship capacity just to kind of pass this around. When the R5 first came out, I was able to call you up and say, "Look, I'd really like to get one of these. Is there a chance?" And you said there's a lot of pre-orders, there's a lot of stuff, but we'll see what we can do. And you guys were able to get quite a few of those cameras in. And then once we found out that, hey, this is a shop that can get these cameras, I was able to tell, I don't even know, probably 10, 15 buddies that are like, oh, I'd really like to get that camera. But I'm on back order at this shop, or I pre-ordered it over here, but they probably have a couple of thousand pre-orders and I don't know when. I heard people saying in August, oh, I'm not going to get my camera till January. Whereas you guys are able to you're big enough where you have some power with these camera companies, but you're small enough where you still have the customer service, I guess is the main point, right?
Yeah, that's a good explanation of it. I have to say, you called uncharacteristically late for your camera. Usually you're one of the first ones to call and say, put me down for one. So I just thought maybe, well, it's mirrorless, Michael's not interested. And then the phone rang, and we were pretty lucky. We were able to get one in your hands pretty quick, but one turned into about 12, I think.
Yeah, we got a bunch of them moved out the door. And I do have to say that camera's pretty cool. I've got a shoot coming up this next week where I'm going to go use it for the second time on a commercial shoot. So we'll see how it all. I'm so used to these big old either 1DX Mark III or 1DX Mark II and the fast and just bulletproof. And I'm actually, I don't have any of those cameras anymore. I'm just using the R5. So we'll see how it all turns out. But I'm pretty confident it's going to do what I need to do.
One of the things I was thinking was thinking back to when you purchased that 1DS2, that was not a cheap camera. You remember?
Yeah.
If we knew back then, if we had any inkling of what cameras would be capable of in just 15 short years, I mean, I wouldn't have believed it, more than twice the resolution, 10 times the focusing power, low light ability, full video, just really, really huge improvements in 15 years. Just think where we'll be in another 15 years.
Yeah.
Think about what we'll be doing, For
me, it's the size, it's the performance of the camera, but I think you're going to get that no matter what. And it just depends on which body you're using. But nowadays it's the size. If I can go out, I can remember going into, let's say I wanted to go shoot the Colorado Rapids, which is the soccer team, or if I wanted to go shoot the Nuggets or something, if you had a big lens, you were in. You could just walk in and just go. Everybody thought you were a pro. Nowadays, you can accomplish the same thing with this little package, and people look at you and you're like, you're a pro photographer, and you're using a little bitty lens with a little bitty camera, and
Right.
and it's hard to distinguish now between a pro and a consumer just because the gear is all about the same. It's just what you do with it really makes the difference nowadays. I think what we need to do is, you guys gave us a coupon code that we're going to give out to our listeners. And what that is, $50 off a $500 purchase, right?
So it's just 50 off 500. And the coupon code was Wild and Exposed. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. And I'll put it in the show notes of this page so that you can just click on it. So I'll have a link to your website. I'll have a link to, or I'll just put the coupon code up there. And that way people can figure out if, and this time of year with the holiday buying season, I would think spending $500 is pretty easy to do, especially if you're going to buy a decent set of lights or a new camera or a new lens or something. That's pretty easy to hit that $500 mark.
Something that we wanted to do for your listeners, to start our partnership off, so anything that they purchase that's over $500, they will get a $50 discount on.
What else does anybody need to know about the shop? I mean, I think we covered a lot of stuff here, but I think the thing that I would say is the relationship I have with you and being able to get stuff when I need it has been by far and away the best thing. And I think that customer service, you being the sales manager, that just trickles down through the whole organization, right? So the customer service you're going to get working with you guys, I mean, you can go to some of these bigger shops in the country and buy stuff, but I've always found that it's better to have that kind of local feel, local approach.
Yeah, you don't get the relationships with a big box store. You don't. They're dealing with too many people. You're another name. You're another number.
Right.
But here we treat each customer individually. So.
Yep, and I can attest to that. It's been awesome, and it's just fun to be able to work with you guys on the sponsorship level and see what we can come up with. Is there anything else that someone should know about Precision Camera that we haven't talked about that would be a benefit to them?
I would like to say that if you're in Texas, please come visit us. Please come introduce yourself to me and let me know that you're a listener of Wild and Exposed. If you're not, and if you're an online customer, please come into our virtual consultations, talk to my sales staff, learn what you're looking to learn, buy from our website. That's the other thing is not only can they help you choose the camera, they can walk you through the whole buying purchase and make it very, very simple for you.
Well, there is something to that too that I haven't done with as much because I work with you directly, but I know that a lot of the guys and gals that I was turning on to your shop and the ability to get a camera in their hands quicker than a lot of the other places was they were able to log on to your site, create an account, put in all the pertinent information, which would be their shipping information, all that kind of stuff. And even if you want to, you can put a credit card in there and store it. Then when you want to get something, it's fairly quick.
Yeah.
It's just a one-step process to just log on and do your virtual shopping. And then once you've made your decision, then getting it into your hands is pretty good. And then shipping, you guys have all the regular options, right? So you can get it shipped to you very, very quickly if you need to, or you can have just the 3-day or whatever ground service.
Regular ground shipping from us is free. So anything over $200 you won't pay shipping for.
Good.
For regular ground. Other than that, it's just depends on what part of the country you're having it shipped to and how fast you need it there. But we can get it there as quick as overnight if you really, really need it.
Well, very good. Well, thanks for your time, and we will put this out, and hopefully you guys will be way busier than you want to be over the holiday buying season.
Sounds good. And once this COVID's all over, we're going to have you down for one of our events.
Yeah, I definitely want to come down there. I'd love to do a wildlife photography kind of 101 course, or even take it way further and just do even a workshop down there. There's so many good places to shoot in Texas that it would be fun to even coordinate some sort of weekend shoot.
We pack the classroom one day and then the next day go on location and go shoot somewhere.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And it'd be fun to do a third day where we actually come back in and critique all the images too. Yep. And that's the best way. I think that's the number one way to learn is go shoot. And that's what I do with everybody. It's like just shoot, and I'll give a little bit of help or a few pointers here and there. But when you actually take that picture and you can go back and look at it and then really critique, hey, it would have been better if it was on this third of the picture, or it would have been better at this setting for exposure. That's where that really starts hitting home, and that whole process comes full circle. And then the next time you go out, you've got that little bit of information to work from.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Mike. Well, thanks for your time, and we should do this once a quarter or something where we actually get you on. And if there's new cameras coming out, maybe we can do a special episode on that, or if there's
Sure.
a new set of lights, or if there's a new whatever. It'll be a fun little resource to have.
Yeah, talk about the new hot gear that's coming down the pipe, because there's always new stuff coming.
It never stops.
No. Thank God.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Wild and Exposed podcast. If you haven't yet, please give us a rating and a review, and make sure you're subscribed so that you'll get every episode we produce as soon as we drop it. And as always, thanks for tuning in.
We're gonna make it someday. Nothing's gonna get in our way.